Hey YouTube, Twig here, bringing you guys my Arcana Knight Joker deck profile for September 2018. I actually did this deck profile a while back with basically the same support as last time, with the three knights that Yugi originally ran in the original series: Queen's Knight, King's Knight, and Jack's Knight. The whole point of the deck is to make use of the three monsters to either go for your Link summon for your big new Link monster that we received from the 2018 Megatins, or go for your main fusion, which is your Arcana Knight Joker. It's a very fun deck. Very happy with the results. I think it's a much better build than last time I made this deck profile, which I think it's been a good, year and a half, if not more, since that time. So let's go ahead and dive into the deck profile. So to start off for the deck, I run 3 Queen's Knight. I run pretty much the majority of each one of these cards just because you need them for the majority of the plays in the deck. With Queen's Knight being the main vanilla monster you have to have out on the field before you can do any of the other effects. Running 3 of her just means you can grab her the fastest with all the other cards that we run to, utilize her in the deck. Same goes for 3 Jack's Knight. With Jack's Knight, you use this with King's Knight's effect, so you can special summon this card out to the field when you have King and Queen's Knight, so making a very, very easy special summon. So you don't really want to open up this card in your hand most of the time, because you can then, not get the special summon, since King's Knight only requires that it be from the deck. But to finish off that, I run 3 King's Knight with this card. While Queen's Knight is on your side of the field, when this card is normal summon, you can special summon 1 Jack's Knight from your deck. So you have to have Queen's Knight already on the field to get this card's special summon off. So remember that when you use the effect. But it's a very easy special summon because it just goes right along with that summon. So if you're able to special summon Queen's Knight out beforehand and then normal summon King's Knight, you got the special summon for Jack's Knight right then and there, which is an easy link summon into Arcana Extra Joker, which then helps for the additional play for more of these cards from the deck. But we'll get to that later on in the video. But that is for the main part of the deck. For the extra warrior monsters I make, just because we want easy, ways to link summon to assist with the plays, I run 3 Junk Forward. This card just helps because it is a warrior monster with an easy special summon. You just have to control no monsters to special summon this card, and it also helps just because of the requirement for Arcana Extra Joker, which is 3 warrior monsters with different names. So being able to run a variety of different warriors just makes it much easier for you to get out what you want. Same goes for Marauding Captain, which I also run 3 of. Another easy special summon, so if you special summon Junk Forward, then normal summon this card to special summon a level 4 or lower from your hand, whether it be any of the, Spade Jack monsters, you name it. Just a great way to spam out the field for sure. And same goes for Photon Thrasher, which I also run 2 of. Just 2 of this card, mostly because it is a easy special summon again. One card I wanted to run over Photon Thrasher, but I just didn't have any to put into the deck, so I thought this would just be the best substitute. But if you have the card, I would definitely recommend throwing it in instead, is Spell Striker, just so you have easy special summons to the field for sure. But Photon Thrasher is another great summon. And I also run, for the monsters, 1 attack gainer. This is just so we do run Isolde in the deck, so you can basically go off of the special summon and get an additional monster out. So very, very helpful with your plays there. If you didn't want to run the Isolde engine, which I'll get to later on as well, of what you can sub in for it, and you just wanted to run, spam for field, you can put in a TG Spell Striker, just because it's another easy warrior to special summon out, or put in a third, I think I said Spell Striker, but the TG Sky Striker, I believe is his name, the level 2 TG monster that special summons out. Or you can run, Spell Striker as this spot filler instead of Photon Thrasher if you wanted to run that card instead. And that's it for the monsters. Like I said, I just run an engine that helps assist the, night monsters out, just for the easy special summons out to the field, to help with getting Extra Joker out, which is your main link monster. But for the spells, I run 3 Unexpected Die. I run this card just because Queen's Knight is very vital to be on the field before any of your other cards are summoned. So using this card means you could just easily special summon her out from the deck. If you control no monsters, you special summon her, and then King's Knight can take up your normal summon, and then using King's Knight, you can then special summon Jack's Knight Knight to the field. If you have polymerization, you can then go for the fusion, or if you have all three but no polymerization, you can go for the Link Summon, and then late game go for Arcana Knight if you don't have the polymerization in your hand already. And speaking of ways to get polymerization, I run 2 Fusion Recycling Plant. This is just with the best in mind, the fastest way to get out your Joker Fusion and search for the polymerization. You can discard 1 card to add 1 polymerization from your deck or graveyard to your hand, and once per turn during the end phase, you can target 1 monster in your graveyard that was used as a fusion material for a fusion summon of this turn, add it to your hand. So being able to add back some of the cards and then just go through the whole cycle of the special summon mechanic that the Night Monster do just helps a lot for sure. So that's why I run this and 2 polymerization as the featured combo of what to go for, just because easy search for one, then grabbing your field spell, and then discarding a card and then searching, so it doesn't clog up really at all when I'm going for that search play. And I also run 2 double summon. This is just so I can basically go for the normal summon of Queen's Knight, and then if I open up Queen's Knight and King's Knight, double summon allows me to then normal summon King's Knight and then get that special summon off. It happens sometimes. I just like having the double summon in the deck, to rely on if that does ever happen. Most of the time I hope to go for my unexpected die play, but having the double summon, whether it be for that or if I'm just short for a link play, definitely does come in handy. And I also, now moving on to the one-ups, I run 1 Defusion. Now this card does actually help with a lot of key plays, just because then you can tag out the Arcana Knight Joker and then get back your 3 fusion monsters that you use to get it out back onto the field very quickly. So definitely does help. If you don't want to run the defusion play, because you're more of reliant on the actual fusion monster itself, you can bump up the instant fusion number to 2. I use the instant fusion to get out Carbonalo Warrior. It's a level 4 fusion. For those of you that don't know, just to help for additional monsters to get on the field, because different names, as I said, for Arcana Extra Joker are very important, so having just as many different ones as you can for your plays definitely does help. And I also run the 1 Divine Sword Phoenix Blade. Now this is, once again, to go for the Isolde play to search out. They're all warrior monsters, so the equip definitely does help as well, but most of the time it can just be the discard cost if you're running the Nightmare engine. But if you don't want to run this, like I said before, you can keep in the defusion, take out the Phoenix Blade, and then just put in the second instant fusion to replace this card in the deck. And then 1 Reinforcements in the army. They're all warrior monsters, so this can just search for whatever you need. Going back to the important part, that Arcana Extra Joker has to be different warrior monsters. If you already have your field set up and you have this in your hand, just search out what you don't already have on the field, so definitely helpful there. And I also run 1 Soul Charge and 1 Monster Reborn, just easy special summon. Again, if you're short any cards, for sure, like if you open up Queen's Knight and then you don't have the proper play on the field, and you do have King's Knight in your hand, just reborn her back, because there's no recommendation for that card to use it, and then you can just go from there with King's Knight. And then lastly, for moving on to traps, I run 2 Fusion Reserves. Now this card definitely does help, just because of the fact that Arcana Knight Joker specifies on the card that it needs a Queen's Knight, Jack's Knight, and a King's Knight, meaning you can search out whatever you need using this trap card. I was also a potential bump up to 3, which I'll show which trap I would take out for that, but I put it in for 2 for now, just because sometimes I would open up multiples, which, most of the time I just need the 1 to get the play going, and then I'll have resources in my hand to get out the rest of the monsters. But most of the time I would either search for, King's Knight most of the time, since there were other ways to get out Queen's Knight onto the field, so that definitely does come in handy. And I also run 1 Back to the Front. The special summon along with the Monster Reborn and the Soul Charge definitely does help, but if you wanted to run the 3 Fusion Reserves, just take this card out for that 3rd copy. And I also run the Solemn Brigade, so 1 Solemn Judgment, 1 Warning, and 2 Solemn Strikes to finish off the main deck. Now this was basically in there just for extra protection, because the best way to utilize Arcana Knight Joker's effect is just by having different cards aplenty in the deck. If I didn't run enough traps when it came to negating traps with its effect, I just want to have the resources to go for it, and I might have too many spells when I would want more traps instead. So along with having this in here just for extra protection for your monsters, it's in there just so you can counteract your opponent as well. And that is it for the main deck. We'll now move on to the extra. I run one Arcana Knight Joker. Now, I only run one because most of the time I'm either going to go for this or Arcana Extra Joker, since we do have the resources to choose both now, which I think is pretty awesome. And a fusion summon can only be conducted with the above fusion materials, and once per turn, if a face-up card on the field is targeted by a spell, trap, or effect, you can negate the effect by discarding the same kind of card of spell, trap, or monster. So meaning you can stop anything by protecting your monsters just by discarding the card of the same type. It's just what I just talked about with the monster spells and trap number lineup. Just being able to have those ratios covered in your deck definitely does come in handy for Arcana Knight Joker, and you see the same principle will come up when we get to Arcana Extra Joker. And then for the fusions, I also run the one Carbonella Warrior. You can mix around your extra deck spots if you were going to run a second instant fusion to bump up the Carbonella Warriors you run as well. And moving on to the Link monsters, I run one Arcana Extra Joker. Now, you can move this up to 2 if there are a couple Link monsters in here you do not have for the deck, but Arcana Extra Joker, we've been talking about the whole video. It requires 3 warrior monsters with different names, and once per turn, when a spell, trap, or a monster effect is activated that targets this face-up card in the field or a monster this card points to, you can discard the same type of monster, spell, or trap, negate the activation, and when a Link monster card is destroyed by battle, and when this Link monster card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon one level 4 or warrior normal monster from your deck, and if you do, add one level 4 warrior monster from your deck to your hand. Now, the great thing about this card is if you open up none of the engine and then you have all your other cards and you special summon this card out, that means you can then rely on this card's own effects to set up the engine for you. So I think the main focus, obviously, of this card was to special summon out the Queen's Knight and then search the King's Knight, giving you access to your play right then and there when it comes next your turn if this card is destroyed by battle. And most of the time that I found that it will be destroyed like that because you can stop all the other effects with its own negation power. And I also run one Isolde, 2 Tails of the Noble Knights. This card is just way too good in the deck for warrior monsters. Might even bump it up to 2 if you want, but it works well with the Phoenix Blade and also the attack gainer just for the extra special summons. Just remember that Arcana Extra Joker requires 3 warrior monsters with different names, so you can't go with her and then another one into it. So she's just more there for adding on to plays and searching out cards. And I also run one Decode Talker, one Nightmare Cerberus, one Link Spider. It helps sometimes just for the additional monster to be on the field with Queen's Knight, one Underclock Taker, and one Land Fornicus, just for extra easy Link arrows. And then for the Exceed monsters, I have Acid Golem in here, but I would run MX Saber Invoker instead, just as an additional option. Just didn't have one around, couldn't find where I placed mine, but I would definitely take that out for this card instead. And also one Leviair, one Phantom Knight's Breaksword, warrior monster with awesome popping effects once again, and then one Heroic Champion Excalibur, one Baguska, and one Gagaga Cowboy to finish off the extra deck. But that is it for the deck profile. I've been having a lot of fun making all these different fun decks for you guys, and I'm always up to, hear some other deck profiles you guys want to see. And until then, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And until next time, Kira Twig out.